Oh my God, welcome back. Season 2, 10-piece podcast. We in this bitch. And all I want for Christmas is for you to like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on. Welcome back. I missed y'all. Real shit. I miss doing this. I miss sitting in my kitchen. I miss talking to you about basketball. The NBA has been back for a few weeks now. I've been going through some shit. Don't worry about it. But I'm here for you. And you're here for me. And in the end, isn't that what it's really all about? No? Fuck it. Hey, for those of you who don't know, my name is JAA. I am the hostess with the mostest of the 10 Piece Podcast. We're weekly throughout this entire NBA season, if I can find some consistency. I will be breaking down the top 10 things that are happening in and around the NBA and sometimes just sports in general that I actually give a fuck about and want to discuss. It is going to be very vulgar. It's going to be very ratchet, raw, gritty, just real unfiltered, like the Wu Tang's first beats, like you know how they would just have that real gritty sound to it. It's how all my shows are going to be. So, welcome to 36 Chambers. Again, this is season 2. I did a few last season towards the end. A lot of it was all on SoundCloud where it was mostly audio, but I decided that terrorizing you with my voice wasn't enough. So I wanted to bring you all of this. And here it is. So, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get this shit started like baby formula. So, number one, cat scratch fever. Basically, about a week or so ago, Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid had that little scrap. It wasn't even really a scrap because, like, a punch was thrown, but it didn't really land. But of course, NBA players, this isn't the fucking 80s, so they can't be out there squaring up and boxing with each other anymore. So it just basically turns into a wrestling match and a match of who got who to the ground, who did what to who, whatever, whatever. But basically, Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid went at it. It was kind of like watching Godzilla versus King Kong, but in basketball jerseys and shorts. Um, Both got 2-game suspensions. Ben Simmons, who now I get that he was allegedly trying to play peacemaker, but him like putting that chokehold on Karl Anthony Towns while he was already on the ground, already on his stomach, like I feel like that was a bit excessive. But they made their pleas to the league saying he was a peacemaker, and the ref says he was a peacemaker. So nothing really happened to Ben Simmons. Don't know if there may be some collusion there with that or what. Not really sure, but honestly, I feel like he could have took a game or two off as well. But if that was the case, Philly wouldn't be 5-0 right now. So who knows? But I mean, it was kind of fun to see, of course, just because those are two big fucking behemoths out there just wrestling each other for dominance. I don't know. Joel Embiid is a certified troll. But the beauty of it is that he's a troll who can back it up. He's not like Enos Cantor or, Robin Lopez, who goes out here and, has these random, antics or who just, flaps off at the mouth, but then goes out there and gives you -2 points and 3 rebounds. Like that's what I mean. Like so with Embiid, he'll go out there and he'll tell you, "Bitch, I've got real estate in your head," and then he'll go out there and put up 25 and 15 with 4 blocks, like it's nothing. So I appreciate that about him. That's why he's one of my favorite players in the league right now. But that whole fight in and of itself was just kind of humorous, but it was also interesting to see just because get some adrenaline, be competitive with one another. And I mean, this was Cat's way of showing that he ain't no bitch. Just like Embiid said, he ain't no bitch. And for years, people accused Karl Anthony Towns of being soft. But we'll talk more about that later. Um, let's see. I mean, and even without Embiid, Philadelphia still managed to beat the Blazers, but their fucking front court is injured, so it's not like that really matters anyway. We'll talk more about that later as well. But they're still 5-0. And even without Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota defeated the Washington Wizards, which, I mean, that's kind of like saying, hey, I beat an armless man in checkers. Bradley Beal, you gotta get out of Washington, man. They're paying you. And congratulations to that. If you want to loan me some money, great. They're paying the fuck out of you. And you're one hell of a player. You should go somewhere where your talents will be utilized and valued and you have a chance to win. Because they ain't in Washington. Next, Steph Curry with the oh shit, it's Aaron Baines. So Steph Curry had a collision on the court, and he fell. Tried to land and brace himself, and then Aaron Baines, look out below, fell on his hand and broke the bitch. So Steph Curry is out for let's see, it looks like 3 months with a broken hand. Um, the Warriors themselves, I was actually at a wedding this weekend. It was my sister got married. Congratulations, by the way. Um, and I was outside talking to my cousin, and he's an NBA fan as well. And we were talking, and he was like, it's kind of like what happened with the Spurs. People were like, oh, well, how did the Spurs have David Robinson all those years and then get Tim Duncan as a number one pick? Well, it was because of season of injuries. So now with Golden State, you got Clay was already gone. Let's take it all the way back. KD left. Clay hurt himself in the finals. You picked up D'Angelo Russell, and then Steph broke his hand. Now they're saying D'Angelo Russell is also out with an ankle injury. And now they're saying that Draymond Green is also out with something. I don't know, a wrist injury. I don't know, whatever. I hate that all this is happening to them due to injury. But KD also came out and said that his blow up with Draymond last season was part of the reason why he left. Um, if this all would have happened just because of things like that, this would be more enjoyable and entertaining watching Golden State eat their slice of humble pie. But I will say, when you do foul shit does come back around. Now, yeah, you've had the lead in a Debo-like chokehold for the past 5 years, but you fucked over Mark Jackson to get there. And then you got there, and now look what's happening. But who knows? They could end up with a great draft pick next year. Listen, on this show, if you listen, I don't do research. It's all off the eye test. And I need glasses, so clearly, yeah. But I'm not sure like how their picks work out. They may have had to give some up. They may not have the rights to get say they bottom out completely. I'm talking about like drunk Saturday night on Grinder bottoming out. And, they end up in a position to get a number one draft pick. Or at least a lottery pick. Who knows? But I just think it's kind of interesting. Whereas, everybody, oh, Steve Kerr is the greatest head coach. Well, it's easy to be a great head coach when, the core of that team had already had time together and had already grown a bond and a brotherhood and had already had defense implemented into them by Mark Jackson. And then Steve Kerr comes along and it's just like, oh my God, a pot of gold. Look what the fuck happens. So, maybe this will give Steve Kerr a chance to show that he is a great head coach without coaching for all-stars. Probably not. Next, speaking of coaches, coaches are here basically ripping into their teams at this point. Steve Clifford, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to Google who that is. Steve Clifford, head coach of the Orlando Magic, basically says the people responsible for a team's poor performance is the head coach and the team's best players. If you can name the Orlando Magic starting five, I will PayPal you a hug. I don't have no money. But, who's your best player? Vucevic? And Markelle Fultz? So basically, you're just blaming yourself. Man's just fired himself. Man, listen, the head coach and the best players are responsible for the team playing like shit. His assistant leans over. Hey, man, we really ain't got that many good players, so you really just put the blame on yourself. I don't know what the fuck's going on in Orlando. You got Terrence Ross. You keep holding him captive. He could be a great role player on a contending team. Vucevic as well could be a great centerpiece for a contending team. Don't know what you're going to do with Markelle Fultz. He's showing flashes that he has the potential to be a great player. Worthy of a number one pick? Not going to say those words, but he has shown he has the potential. You got Mo Bamba, Jonathan Isaacs. You have a lot of potential down there, but it just seems like in Orlando, I don't want to say it's coming from the top down, but it doesn't seem like they really know what their goal is as a team because you haven't really built like a core down there aside from Vucevic. You haven't really put a lot of great pieces around him. Yes, you made the playoffs last year, but you made it as an AC, so you scraped your ass in there, scrubbed the ground, you scraped your ass in there, and then you got beat. I mean, you gave Toronto a game at home. You know what I'm saying? You beat them on the road, which was impressive. I will say that, especially considering, DJ Augustine was your best player, and he's been in the league for how long now? And on how many different teams? So I don't know what the fork, hungry, fat, you get it. I don't know what the fuck Orlando is doing, but they need to figure it out and quickly before they just end up fucking getting sold. Send them to Seattle. So that way they have a professional basketball team again, aside from, the WNBA team. No disrespect to the Seattle Storm, they're a great team. But everybody remembers from the 90s and the 80s and decades before where the Seattle Supersonics were a dope-ass team for that city. And then you took them away, give them something back. And that way I can move there. Hello? Ultimate goal? Also, Coach Mike Malone of the Denver Nuggets ripped into his team about their poor performance and their lack of effort. And it's just like, with Denver, it's different because Denver last year, they kind of caught people off guard, but if you know the NBA, then they did not. So with them, it's a thing of everybody expected for them this season to come out and blow everybody out of the water. That's not the case, especially when you're working in a number 2 draft pick who didn't play at all last year and who's still dealing with injury. Jamal Murray still doesn't really have an identity for real as a player. Yes, we know he can do a little bit of everything, but he still doesn't seem to be pass first. He still seems to be more of a scoring type of guard, and that's perfectly fine when you have Jokic playing center and playing point guard. But if your center is going to average the most assists on the team, then that means that the people around him that are scoring are going to have to put up big fucking numbers. Because you're not only at that point calling on your center to grab rebounds and to get assists and to also potentially get you easy buckets in the paint, you can't put that much on your center unless it's just a bad bitch. And no offense to Jokic, but he's only 24 years old, so I can't really give him that status just yet. He's not out here like a Kareem or like a Shaq who you can say, hey man, I hope your backpack is like fucking durable because you got to carry us. Because then you're not going to get very far, to be quite honest. I thought the Spurs were going to give them the boot in, the first round matchup last year. I definitely thought that the Spurs were going to advance over them. This year, they've gotten better, but it's just a matter of finding a way to gel those pieces. Maybe some of those players from last year are still in a honeymoon phase. Do you have anything to be in a honeymoon over? Absolutely not. But some of them are like, shit, we out here getting clout and recognition now. I could totally see that being the case and them not playing with that same hunger. But we're also 5 games into the season, so why panic so soon? But clearly the coaches are panicking, so why can't we as fans and people who, give analysis on the shit, why can't we be like, there's something to read into there? So we'll see. Number 4, the Lakers are 5-1 and sit atop the Western Conference. Now, there are a lot of different things folded into here that I want to discuss, and not just because it's the Lakers. But again, as I've said before in previous episodes, where there are 2 major franchises in the NBA where when they are doing well, the NBA as a whole is prospering because they have a chokehold on the largest markets and the largest media market. That would be the New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers. If you go back and look, when those 2 teams are doing well, the NBA as a whole is like on a whole nother fucking level. All those years with Showtime, all those years with Kobe and Shaq, all those years with just Kobe, the Lakers were the team to see, and they were also the number 1 team to talk about. If Kobe would have been, I don't know, on fucking in Portland wouldn't have gotten that kind of coverage, but it was the Lakers. It's Los Angeles. It's fucking Tinseltown. So when they're doing well, the NBA as a whole gets to eat. Same thing with the Knicks. And the Knicks are going to be in a shitter for a while, so no need to worry about them. But the Lakers being 5-1, it does show that, the chemistry issues people were worried about are clearly not present. It also continues to show, okay, well, last season had LeBron not gotten hurt, maybe they would have had a different outcome than they did. But also, I'm liking what I'm seeing between Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, because Dwight Howard isn't really getting talked about a lot, but he's still out there giving you double doubles off the fucking bench at that, because he's not their starting center. So that's impressive in and of itself. He threw a fucking lob to AD the other night just out of nowhere that nobody really saw coming. So, I mean, like, that big to big connection is definitely going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be useful, especially in a league right now where everything is emphasizing on small ball. They had a hell of a matchup against the Mavericks. What was that? Friday night? It wasn't Saturday. So was that Friday night? They went up against Dallas, and LeBron and Luka both averaged triple doubles. It went into overtime. LeBron kicked it over to Danny Green in the corner for an open three to send it into overtime. Then they ended up coming out on top. So I say that to say this, that it kind of just coaching wise, it doesn't really seem to have a lot of plays. Their strategy seems to be, all right, LeBron, you got it. Go out there and create. Now, when they get Rondo back, it's going to be helpful as well, because he's basically a floor general in and of himself. But it also kind of goes to show, what it would have been like last year had they not. Well, I had the whole Anthony Davis thing not even happen, and had the younger players had more time and a chance to develop, and had Lonzo also not gotten hurt, what could have happened? Everybody was like, Luke Walton isn't the problem. LeBron's the problem. Luke Walton is a great head coach. Man, you had them young Bucks for how many years before LeBron got there? And you didn't even make it to the playoffs or sniff the ass crack of the playoffs? And now you in Sacramento doing what with another young core? I don't get it, man. Luke Walton is not a good head coach, which also makes me wonder how Mark Jackson still doesn't have a head coaching job in the NBA. What the fuck? I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. But the Lakers are 5-1. They're looking great. I still don't know if they're going to have what it takes to overcome the Clippers, because that's a fucking juggernaut that we'll talk about later. But they're currently 5-1, so they've got the best record in the Western Conference, which is the toughest conference out there, considering all the teams and all the players that are basically in the West right now. So congratulations to them for that. Number 5, we talked about Luka earlier. I'm going to explain to you all why I will never talk about the Dallas Mavericks in a positive light on this podcast. Multiple reasons. We're going to go through them. Story time. So, number 1, the year Dirk won MVP, he robbed one of my favorite players, Steve Nash, from making history, because that was a season where Steve Nash was going for his 3rd consecutive MVP. People disagree that he shouldn't have won it. People saying he shouldn't have won it over Shaq one of those years. He did, though. Let's move on. Right? Right. Dirk won it that year instead of Steve Nash winning it for his 3rd season. Then they went to the playoffs as the number 1 seed and lost to the number 8 seed Golden State Warriors, the We Believe team, with Baron Davis and Steven Jackson and Al Harrington and Matt Barnes and a slew of other players who came together as a collective and punched them in the fucking neck. So you win MVP just to lose in the first round as the number 1 seed. Yikes. Also, I believe Mark Cuban has a touch of racism. And when I say touch, I mean like it's just all over his body. Like, that motherfucker, he shits on the AAU program, which we know is predominantly made for underprivileged Black or African American communities, and for those players who don't really have the income resources to come together and sort of get themselves noticed, that way they can be scouted by by private schools or by schools that give you a better chance of getting into a D1 college and getting noticed and then going to the NBA. He talks about how much greater European players are than American-born players in the AAU system. Not to mention, back in 2009, when the Denver Nuggets had a playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks in Denver, there was a bit of a flare-up or skirmish or something at the end of the game. It's been over 10 years, so forgive my memory. But basically, the game was over, and they were walking out, and somebody, was saying the Denver Nuggets are a bunch of thugs. And then Mark Cuban pointed to Kenyon Martin's mother in the crowd and said, that includes your son. Which, first of all, the fact that he made it out of there alive is spectacular. Because if I'm Kenyon Martin and we're at home, my pistol is in the building, and you gonna talk crazy to my mama? Bet. See me in the parking lot, cuz I got you. So that in it's like to disrespect somebody's mother, and we all know. Well, we all don't know, but most of us, if you know, you know. I'll say that when certain people don't, want to outright say the N word, they use other words to cover it, but we know what they mean. Like, oh, just a bunch of fucking thugs. Or, oh, look at that punk over there. Yada, 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 etc. So, not only to do that, but then also do it to somebody's mom. Fuck you, buddy, for that forever for me. And then also, now they picked up, Kristaps Porzingis, who is an alleged, alleged rapist and racist on top of it. Because allegedly, while he was raping that girl, allegedly, he was also using racial slurs while doing so. And Dallas knew about this and picked him up. Whatever, man. I like Luka. I will continue to hope that Luka does well and cheer for Luka because Luka is a great player. He's also very easy on the eyes, but he's underage, so that is inappropriate as fuck. However, Luka is a great player. So if he can find a way to get away from there, which I feel like he won't, because they're probably going to baby him. They're probably going to look at him as like, oh, you're the next franchise player. You're the next Dirk because you were drafted here. You're going to start here. You're going to finish here. They're going to sell him the whole fucking franchise player package. So I don't really see him going anywhere else. And plus, that's what Mark Cuban wants. He wants a bunch of talented white players, a bunch of talented European players, and now he's got them. So fuck Dallas. I will never talk about them in a positive light on this here show. And if that offends you, suck my tits. Next, injury report. Number 6. Let's see. So we talked about Steph earlier. Reggie Jackson is out for 4 weeks with a back injury. Don't know why. He's not carrying anybody or anyone. That was offensive. He's actually hurt. Get well soon, Reggie Jackson, but you are overpaid. So sorry to say it. Next up, Ed Davis has a fractured left fibula out in Utah for the Jazz. Get well soon to him. Not that your fan base really appreciates it because we know how they feel about thugs. Who else? Zach Collins for the Portland Trailblazers is out with a separated left shoulder. He actually had that happen to him in a game against Dallas over the weekend. They already are having front court issues. Like, you got Nurkic, who has been out since last season because his leg walked it out. That is a horrible joke. I'm so sorry. Get well soon. And now you got this with Zach Collins. So basically, they just have to depend on Hassan Whiteside, who, as far as we all know, is still crazy as cat shit. So is he going to be stable enough to give him good solid minutes, get him enough rebounds? He's not really known as a scorer unless it's off putbacks or lobs. And in Portland, where the majority of your buckets are coming from your backcourt and Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum, I mean, he's going to have plenty of chances to grab his points off the fucking glass, but if those shots are falling, maybe not. We'll see. Few things to watch for. Number 7, tonight is going to be the matchup of the Spider-Man meme, where, Spider-Man, like, they're both pointing at each other like, we're the same fucking person. When the Memphis Grizzlies go against the Houston Rockets, because it's going to be Ja Morant versus Russell Westbrook. Personal note, I have a hard time with Ja's name because I always want to call him Ja Morant, like Sir Jorah Morant from Game of Thrones. So it's just a brain thing. So if I don't always call him Ja Morant, forgive me. So sorry. Regardless, they're like a mirror image of each other. They're both, basically Ja is what Russell was when Russell came into the league. Super young, explosive, athletic. Ja's a bit of a better playmaker and a bit of a better shooter, but regardless, he still has some fine tuning to do. But I feel like once he actually hits his prime and finds his stride, he may end up being, a bit better than Russell is. But for right now, Russell Westbrook is still that motherfucker. So That's going to be a fun matchup to watch as well. Also, Houston still needs to figure out what the fuck they're going to do. It's almost as if, you got all these talented players, you have a system somewhat, but, with Mike D'Antoni at the helm, let's be real here. Mike D'Antoni is a phenomenal offensive coach. Offensive coach. That's not the whole game. Now, I understand that the objective of basketball is to put the ball through the hoop. However, if you don't stop the other team from doing so, you lose. So, that being said, Mike D'Antoni is a great offensive coach. Is he a great all-around coach? No. Kind of like how, if you remember, walk back with me now. We're about to wrap up soon. I know I've been here for 25 minutes. Thank you so much. If you remember back to the Boston Celtics, when they had their championship run in 2008, and then when they continued to remain on top of the Eastern Conference, they had a great defensive coordinator by the name of Tom Thibodeau, who was a great defensive coordinator. Then he became a head coach, and we learned that that motherfucker had no business being a head coach because he ran his players into the ground. If you can recall, Jimmy Butler was leading the league in minutes, and he said, "Why the fuck am I leading the league in minutes?" Derrick Rose was out there with, a huge lead, and then he fucked himself up when he had no business on the court. But that's because a great defensive coordinator had no business being a head coach. Just like Mike D'Antoni would be a great offensive coordinator for someone else's coaching staff. But he does not need to be a head coach. How many championships has he won? How many times has he been in the finals? Okay. Cool. That's just what I want to say about that. Number 8, Andre Drummond is averaging 22 and 18. My fucking God. That man has been a beast this season. It's been great to actually see because, he had his moments. He's been an all-star. So he's had his moments where it's like, man, Andre Drummond's really great. Then it's always been, well, Andre Drummond can't really do anything because he's handicapped. Well, now he's out there actually beasting on the paint. I've seen a few post moves. They're starting to give the ball to him a bit more down low and let him try to operate and actually try to find a post game. But also not only that, but if he gets off the glass, good luck stopping him, putting him back up. And once he starts hitting his free throws, it's over because you're going to have to hack him because he's too fucking big. So with him averaging 22 and 18 already, there's no telling how much better that's going to get, especially with Blake being out right now. But when Blake comes back, it's only going to complement it. So that is a joy to see as well for me personally because I actually like Andre Drummond as a player. Number 9, again, I'm going to try to get through these quickly because I've been taking up a lot of your time. Let's see, teams to watch for. So as of right now, of course, Philly is undefeated. They are currently 5-0, the last undefeated team in the league right now. I feel like they are favorites to win the East because complete inside and out, they are the best team. You have Embiid down low who can play defense and also give you those easy buckets in crunch times when you need them. He also can shoot free throws. You have Ben Simmons, who is a great facilitator. He also plays defense and also has the size and the ability to get into the paint to either give you easy buckets or to make the easy pass. You have shooters on the outside. You brought in Al Horford, who is now playing the 4, which is his natural position, which is all he wanted to play since he got into the NBA anyway, but teams kept putting him at the 5, making him fucking miserable. But now that he's at his natural position, he'll get a chance to flourish. And honestly, as far as like your power forward and center matchup, who's really battling them? You name me a 4 and a 5 right now, aside from like maybe, I don't know, LeBron and AD, that could really go toe to toe with them for real, for real. There is none. So, and people are saying, oh, well, Milwaukee's going to come out of the East because Milwaukee's just, with Giannis, and I appreciate Giannis. He's my favorite player in the league right now, and he deservedly won MVP last year. But we saw what happens when you build a wall around the paint. If Chris Middleton is not hitting his shots and you're not letting Giannis into the paint, what is Milwaukee going to do? Give it to Eric Bledsoe? Good luck. Brook Lopez is going to shoot threes? Good luck. You lost Malcolm Brogdon, who was a 50-40-90. Good fucking luck. So it's just one of those things where I feel like Milwaukee, Philadelphia is definitely going to be the team that's going to come out of the East. I'm calling it now. Yes, it's early in the season. With no injuries and with them remaining healthy, who knows, they may even be able to pick up some great role players. Tobias Harris is still doing great in that starting lineup. I feel like Philadelphia is the most complete team, top to bottom, in the Eastern Conference, period. Um, Behind them, Miami is 5-1 right now. They were cooking without Jimmy Butler. Congratulations on your newborn, by the way. That's the reason why he missed the first few games of the season. You know, they were doing well without him because they're reliant upon their rookies. But also, I said Justice Winslow was going to step up at some point, and he has because I've always seen that potential in him. So it's great to actually watch it come to fruition. So with Justice Winslow, and here's the thing about Jimmy Butler too, he is a veteran leader, but he's also still a young star in himself. But he's that kind of veteran leader where he's going to be tough on those kids. And those kids, with this being their rookie season, the what is it, the Nun kid or Dunn kid? I think it's Nun. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, it's been a long weekend. With him and with Tyler Hero, they're going to learn their roles and how to be efficient in them very quickly because Jimmy Butler is going to bark at them. And a lot of people are, be timid with the rookies, whatever. Things are kind of soft in the NBA these days. Jimmy Butler ain't about that. Jimmy Butler's about that business. He's about that action. And he could potentially carry the Miami Heat to a great record and to a great playoff run. So I feel like that's going to be great for those younger players to learn from someone like him. Then you also have Bam, who's down there doing great things. Derrick Jones Jr., who's jumping out of the fucking gym if you blink at him too hard. Or if you could throw a ball from here down the street, and I guarantee you he'll find a way to dunk it in the air while blowing his nose. He's a fucking freak of nature, and I love to watch it. Next up, let's see. Talked about the Lakers being 5-1 already. Timberwolves are actually 4-1. Like I said before, people have always talked about how Karl-Anthony Towns was kind of soft, how he's not really been playing like a number one pick. And this season, it seems he has. He's averaging 27 and 11. And, he's definitely been the leader of that team. And we're waiting to see if Andrew Wiggins is finally going to take that next step. But it seems like Cat is ready to do so. And it looks like with him doing it, the Timberwolves have the potential to actually be like a high seed. I mean, they have some great talent around them. And who knows? And you got Thibodeau out of there, so that means that no one's going to get run to the fucking ground. Whatever. He ruined Derrick Rose. Sorry. I had to say it. But yeah, the Timberwolves right now looks like they're doing well. They have, I think, another game without Cat, and then he'll be back after his 2-game suspension for his fight with Embiid. So that'll be, something to look out for throughout the rest of the season. And of course, the Clippers are fucking 5-2 without Paul George. They've been beating the shit out of people without Paul George. They, have been holding teams to fucking 6 points without Paul George. So when he comes back, it's only going to get worse for you motherfuckers. Like, Doc Rivers has always had my respect as a head coach, and he has that team playing solid defense, and they also are buying into the system. There is no individual superstar on their team. There is no one on that team who feels they are bigger than the team picture itself. And that's part of Doc's coaching, which I appreciate and respect. So with that being said, if you have a team that buys in and you happen to have a 2-time finals MVP on that team, and then you're going to be bringing in a fucking MVP finalist in Paul George, and you got fucking Patrick Beverly, who was a dog in Timberlands, stopping damn near any point guard that gets in front of him for the most part. You got Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams come off the bench, being basically fucking Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. Like, the Clippers are going to be hard to beat, man. Honestly, like, I see them coming out of the West. Like, my prediction for the finals already, I know game 5, or, 5 games in, calm down. But, the way things are looking just in a snapshot right now, I could definitely see the Clippers and the Sixers being in the finals against each other, which would be weird, but it would be fun to watch. Just saying. Number 10, last few little notes here I just want to talk about. It's not really NBA related, just a few little odd things I wanted to talk about. Apparently Tom Brady got caught on camera saying the N-word, which, I mean, he's a magger. So, I'd have been more surprised if you'd told me I had a newborn the other day and it cried a lot. Brought it home from the hospital, he wouldn't shut up. I'd be like, oh, nuh-uh. Versus you telling me Tom Brady got caught saying the N-word walking to the locker room. I mean, what he said. It was somebody back there, and he was like, "Oh, they had to keep you back here. They know you my kryptonite, nigga." Ha. I'm surprised he personally didn't go for the emergency room and add the ER on it, just because it's what matters do. So there you go. And lastly, RIP to John Witherspoon. He passed away last week. Very, very tragic, very unexpected. I mean, I don't know if he had any sort of illness or if those close to him knew this was something that could have been coming, but all the rest of us were caught off guard. Um, you know, he has shaped a lot of people in the world of comedy. I know he's definitely had an impact on me myself personally, from watching him in the Friday movies to the Wayans brothers to Boondocks being granddad. I don't want to discredit him because he's done so much work before that, from being like on the Richard Pryor show, roast and things of that nature, his own stand up. I believe he did work with Flip Wilson. Like John Witherspoon has been that motherfucker for a long time. He's probably your favorite comedian's favorite comedian, and it's very sad that he passed away at such a he lived a full life, but it still feels like it was too soon. And I'm not even saying that from like a selfish standpoint, from a fan who was like, "Damn, the new Boondocks," or "Man, I guess I want to make it another Friday." Whatever, fuck all of that. That man's life, it was a joy to get to watch and for him to share his art and his comedic gift with us. So RIP to him. And that's really it, man. That's going to do it for this 36-minute episode of the 10 Piece Podcast. Again, my name is JAA. You can catch me on Twitter, JAA27. Catch me on Instagram, JA squared 827. Xbox, JAA27. Cash App, JAA27. X2. Nope. So yeah, all that information will be in the description box below. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, judge, do whatever you're gonna do, but just make sure you do it every week because I'm gonna be here getting in that ass. Pun possibly intended, but not. Now, if you were with me last season, I ended every show by saying that Mark Jackson does not have a head coaching job in the NBA, and that's fucked up. But I've already said that in this episode, and this season we're going for something a little different until it changes. So the closing note this season on every episode will be Jamal Crawford and Carmelo Anthony are not currently on NBA teams. When you got bitches out here struggling to give you points, those two could do it. And they sitting at home on the couch watching League Pass. I don't get it. Do you? Make it make sense. Thank you so much. Be good or be good at it. And until next week, peace.